Hey everyone! I'm Albert Boris. And guess what? Super Mario Party Jamboree has finally been released! This has been one of my most anticipated Mario games to come out in the past few years, as a Mario Party fan since childhood. So to celebrate this new release, I've decided to do something I promised to do way earlier on this channel. Ranking every Mario Party game that's come out. Now, obviously, whichever entry in the series is your favorite usually depends on which ones you grew up playing. I'm obviously guilty myself of being more nostalgic for some games. With that said, however, for this list, I'm gonna try to remain as unbiased as possible, simply because that makes for more interesting analysis. So, let's not waste any more time. With all of that being said, let's get started. Coming in at last place, we have Mario Party the Top 100. To be honest, was this even a surprise? This is by far one of the blandest and most wasted potential games in the entire series, and what's sad is that it could have been great. On the surface, it had a lot of potential, acting as a sort of celebration of the series, bringing back 100 minigames from the 10 previous home console games. Mario Party, up until this point, wasn't really a series known for remaking its older content, so to see something like that happening was actually kind of cool for the first time. But as soon as I played it, it became obvious just how little they actually cared about it. Not enough that the minigames are unevenly distributed between games, not enough that some of them don't even use the correct music, but there's just absolutely nothing to this game. Besides free play and 2 forgettable minigame modes, all you have is Minigame Match, which is just Diet Party Mode, and Minigame Island, which is a single player campaign, where you have to beat every minigame. It's definitely the best part, mostly since they actually give a purpose to the minigames, but it's also just something that you play once and then forget about. The whole point of minigames is to break up the pace of the board play. Take that out and there's not nearly as much incentive to play them. Never mind that these are hardly the top 100 minigames in the series. Even visually speaking, this game is soulless because it just reuses assets, mechanics and character artwork from Mario Party Star Rush. Overall, this game is just awful. Everything that it does have has already been made better in other games. There may be some fun to be had with it in the first few hours of getting the game, but on the whole, it's just a lazy and inconsistent mess. Easily the worst one. Next up, barely missing out on the top loser spot, we have Mario Party Advance. This one isn't a corporate cash grab like the previous one, instead it's a cool idea that just doesn't really work, at least for me. Mario Party Advance kind of introduces the car gimmick, 7 years before Mario Party 9 did, albeit with a very different take on it. You see, this game isn't multiplayer oriented, like hardly at all. The minigames are all single player, and the closest thing we have to a party mode, Shroom City, is just a single player campaign, where you go around town helping people out with tasks. So where's the Mario Party in this? Well, basically, you navigate through this town by rolling the dice and moving across spaces. But there's a catch, you have a limited amount of rolls, and the only way to win more of them is by winning minigames, which occurs after like 4 rolls. And if you run out of them at any point, it's game over. Why the f***ing f***? It's bad enough that it puts so much unnecessary pressure on the minigames, as one mistake will probably cost you the whole game. But if we could at least start off with like 20 rolls at the beginning instead of just 5, that would be a bit more fair too. As it stands now, you can't afford to lose at all, and it sucks because this is actually a really cool concept on the surface. Sure, at least you don't lose the gadgets you win, but it's just annoying having to restart over and over again. But honestly, even if this was fixed, the game is just kind of too long for me. 6 hours of fetch quests is just very repetitive with this kind of gameplay. At least you can save your progress, and obviously I respect it way more than the top 100, but as a game, it just doesn't work, which is why it's still one of the worst entries in my opinion. Mario Party 4 is the lowest ranked classic Mario Party on the list. And for good reason, I'd say. Because, at least in my opinion, this one has by far the worst board gameplay. In every way, mind you. The boards don't even look interesting to start off with. You're just walking on boring metal roads hovering above a background. It breaks the immersion, and that's not even the worst part, because all of them, barring Shy Guy's Jungle Jam, has a luck mechanic that limits your movement options, and there's nothing you can do about it. Half the time, you have no control where to go on most of these maps, often resulting you in looping the same area over and over again. And it's just annoying how punishing it is for no reason, even in as early as the game's first board, with the stupid teacups. Not even the item system is any good either, because all you get from landing on an item space is a mega or mini mushroom. Mega mushrooms allow you to roll 2 dice and steal passing players' coins, but it also makes you skip out on all the board events, including the star, which makes them more detrimental than anything. And mini mushrooms could have been good since it allows you to pass through certain gates, but you can only roll up to 5. So once again, complete crap luck. There's still some regular items too, purchasable from item shops, but it's not enough. And what's sad is that the minigames in Mario Party 4 are actually really good. Sure, there's a lot of stinkers, but on average, Mario Party 4 probably has the highest highs in the series, since games like Booksquirm, Dungeon Duos, and Mario Medley are all really unique and engaging. Sadly, it's not enough to salvage the board play, and it also came at the cost of no dual minigames either, so yeah. There's also a story mode and some cool extras games, which are fun I guess, but overall, Mario Party 4 is just cruel. How this is somehow considered to be one of the series' fan favorites, I have no idea. Mario Party 10, next up on the list, is the most lifeless and barren Mario Party game of all time. But it is not because of the car. Let's just get that out of the way. There are bigger things going on here. The reason Mario Party 10 is so bland is that it basically takes Mario Party 9 but gets rid of all the personality, besides the bosses. Mario Party 10 just feels like an empty husk, and it's noticeable as soon as you start up the game, because they couldn't even be bothered to give it a proper title screen. The graphics are stilted, the music is stilted, and even all of the game modes feel like an afterthought. The main party mode is definitely the least offensive part of the game. It's functioning and it works I guess, but besides the Giga Chad that is Airship Central, the boards are still pretty boring, due to the lack of interesting gimmicks. Bowser Party is fun on paper, and in execution it can be chaotic, but Bowser just has such a huge advantage, it needs to be fixed. Why does he get to reroll? And also, you can only play it on 3 of the 5 boards. Why? And Amiibo Party. Good god. Look, I know this is the closest thing we have to the classic gameplay in this game, but I fail to see how any enjoyment can be harvested from this. You're just walking around on a barren square, doing basically nothing. Or well, besides collecting stars, I guess. Now the minigames, they're good. Not the best thing in the world, but there's a few ones I really like, particularly the boss battles, which I think are actually even better than 9's. Seriously, they did not need to go so hard on the final Bowser battle. Other than that though, this game just feels empty. No story mode, only 1 minigame mode, and 0 atmosphere. And I grew up playing this game, mind you. I'll talk more about why I like the car when we get to Mario Party 9, but even though I'm a fan of it, I do genuinely wonder why the developers thought it would be a good idea to bring it back, and not perhaps, oh I don't know, improve on it? But you know what, at least it's so bad that it kind of loops back to being fun at times. I'd much rather play this game over Mario Party 4, because at least Bowser Party is kinda funny. There's legitimate reason to go back to this game, but don't think of that as a compliment. This is still a mediocre mess all around. Oh boy, Mario Party Island Tour. So, just between us, this is probably my most nostalgic game in the series. I could gush for hours on end about how much I loved it growing up and all the memories I made with it, but going back, I realize it's not really aged well at all. Island Tour is a bit of an experimental title that doesn't really know what it wants to be. It instead was most likely just a way for ND Cube to play around with a few ideas. Sadly, almost none of them land. Take the 7 boards for instance. The only thing they have in common is that they're linear, and that you're usually trying to get to the end. Everything else about them functions completely differently, from map to map. That's cool on the surface, but sadly, most of them are completely luck-based, since the only thing that matters is getting a good dice roll. Not even winning minigames usually matters that much, because again, all you get is usually more powerful dice blocks. But even though they might make it slightly easier for you to win, it usually doesn't matter much, because there's always something bullshit that can completely ruin your progress. Thankfully, the maps are also pretty short though, usually no more than 20 or 30 minutes, so I guess they're kind of replayable if I just want to waste some time. It's not like Mario Party 4, which is luck-based and goes on for hours. Actually, my biggest problem with the boards in this game is how slow the pacing is. Everything just takes forever to get going. Why is there a cutscene for each separate player when everyone goes back a space on Kamek's board? There's also a story mode, Bowser's Tower, and it's just playing minigames for 90 minutes. Most of them are pretty boring and formulaic, but hey, I guess it's cool that it exists at least. And the boss battles are actually really good, even though they're way too easy and end too soon, and oh my god, why are there so many problems? You were my brother, Mario Party Island Tour. I loved you. Is there anything still great left in this game? Actually, there's still one thing that Island Tour absolutely nails: the personality. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing in this title, whether it's the invigorating title theme, or the beautiful Rocket Road, the absolutely epic Bowser battle, or heck, even quite a few of the minigame songs are surprisingly epic, considering the series standards. Bowser Jr. is also playable, which can lead to some pretty cursed scenarios, and I love how the story mode actually changes its whole plot and much of the dialogue, if you choose to play as him. Also, the choicest voice. Enough said. But yeah, overall, this game is pretty bad. It certainly has its charm, much more so than these 3 games, and I will always be grateful for all of the memories this game gave me, but some things just don't hold up. All I can say is... At number 13, we have the very first Mario Party game of all time, and it has not really aged well. I get that this was the first Mario Party game ever, so they didn't really have anything to go by to improve, but that doesn't really make it more fun in the present day. You know how important items are? Yeah, well, believe it or not, but Mario Party 1 doesn't have an item system. Every map is just going with the flow, and hoping for the best, making the boards way more luck-based than they should have been. And even though Mario Party 1 has 8 boards, the most out of any game, besides Star Rush, a lot of them just aren't that fun to play because of how little strategy there is. And even if there were items, some of them are still just downright unfair. Like, I think Wario's Battle Canyon and Eternal Star speak for themselves. At least they all have a ton of personality though, and there aren't as many luck-based gimmicks as in 4, but they're not for the faint of heart. However, not all exclusive gimmicks to Mario Party 1 were bad. There are also some features that I wish stayed for future games. Like the fact that losers can actually lose coins in minigames. It's such an oddly barbaric punishment for something so trivial, but I kinda love it. And they really should have kept it for the newer games as well, to balance out the economy. Sadly, the minigames themselves are kinda shit. There's only 50 of them, which means a ton of them get repeated each match, but a lot of them also just function really weirdly. Again, they hadn't quite figured out what they wanted to do with this series yet, but some of them have such weird objectives. Like in Hot Rope Jump, you just need to do 20 jumps and you win. Why not Last Man Standing? And for Bowlet, the one person only gets a single throw, and he only gets the money from whoever he struck down. And don't get me started on the rotating stick games. Look, fundamentally, they're not awful, but because of how poorly designed the N64 joystick is, and how small the minigame total is, it's not so hard to see why everyone got blisters. They just keep getting repeated. Minigame Island is a cool single-player campaign though. Not perfect, but it gives you something more to do than just the boards. But yeah, is Mario Party 1 a bad game? Kind of. But I can't really bring myself to hate it. And since it is the first game, it gets respect on that merit as well. For what it's worth, it's a much more memorable experience than the 4th game, which has no reason to be so bad. Mario Party 5 is a Mario Party game that happens to exist. Yeah, I don't really know how else to describe this game. Out of all the installments, this is definitely the most forgettable one, without anything great or particularly awful to stand out about it. It's a Mario Party with classic board gameplay. Admittedly, I have some nostalgia for this one as it was one of my earlier Mario parties, but even when I was a kid, I never had that much fun playing it. It might have 7 boards, one of the highest counts in the series, but all of them just kind of blend together. None of them really have any unique gimmicks, and even aesthetically, a lot of them just kind of overlap with each other. You could remove Toy Dream from the board selection, and I wouldn't even notice. And once again, the item system is kinda garbage. You can only get them from these capsule machines, and if you want to use them on yourself, well, there's a tax for that. Why can't they just buy them in shops and be done with? You don't even get to pick what capsules you want to get, so there's no strategy to it all either. I guess the main charm of these items is that you're supposed to throw them on different spaces, so that whoever lands on them will get a different event than normally. But I'd rather just have classic items that directly affect me. With capsules, you can't really directly mess with anyone, you just kind of hope that someone eventually lands on your trap. And you can even fall victim to your own trap, so yeah, pretty luck-based system overall. The minigames aren't really that great either. Most of them are fine, with even a few really good ones, but never have I seen such a high concentration of lazy button masher and luck-based minigames anywhere else, which really drags it down. So, what does Mario Party 5 do good though? Well, there's a few things. For one, Mario Party 5's atmosphere is wonderful. While most of the other Mario parties are pretty campy and chaotic, Mario Party 5 has a much more relaxing and magical feel to it with the whole dream theme it's going for, and I always loved how much more entrancing it was. I also really like the Super Duel mode. It's a weird off-brand side thing that doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the game, but it's surprisingly fun, customizing your own tank and then battling it out against friends in a tournament-style gameplay. So yeah, Mario Party 5. Pretty mediocre game overall, but it has some cool elements, making it average in the end. Super Mario Party. Probably one of the worst returns to form we could have had. Before release, this game was hyped up for being the first Mario Party to have the classic board gameplay in over a decade, and admittedly, I was really excited to see how it would turn out, as were a lot of people. But then I got the game and dropped it almost as soon as I started it. The main mode sucks, simply put. The boards are too small, everything is too cheap, you can only roll up to 6 normally, the speed is so slow, and the ally system is completely broken. Get one and you're guaranteed good rolls for the rest of the game. Somehow, the main attraction of the game felt like an afterthought. Then, 1.5 years later, I realized why the main mode was so bad. It wasn't supposed to be the main mode. I later found out about Partner Party, another game mode in this game, which takes the 4 underwhelming maps, yes there's only 4, but instead makes them grid-based. And with this in mind, it actually kind of works. The fact that each grid is a space automatically makes the boards bigger, since there's way more space to cover, and not only does it give you more control over where to go, but even the game speed becomes more bearable when 2 players kind of move at once. It's only 10 minutes shorter than a regular mode match, but at least it's something. Honestly, had the developers just focused on this mode, I feel that this game would have been so much better in the end. On the one hand, I wish you weren't forced into teams, but it creates a unique dynamic nevertheless. And the idea of walking on grids and choosing your own exact path is pretty strategic in its own right, as you always have to think about what will benefit you the most. The other side modes aren't half bad either. Soundstage is simple and kinda short, but I love shaking my Joy-Con to the beat of some epic tunes. And while River Survival gets old after a while, due to the lack of enough co-op minigames, it's a fun little team mode, where you have to get to the end of a river course. And Challenge Road is a bit like Minigame Island in previous games, except it's actually better, because there's also specific requirements to beating some minigames now, instead of just getting first place. It gives it a bit more flair, and there's even expert challenges, and they get shockingly difficult. But yeah, overall, Super Mario Party is just another game that I think is simply fine. It doesn't really know what to do, but it's fun for what it does right, and I definitely have my memories with it. But I can see why it disappointed a lot of people, including me. Starting with the top 10, Mario Party 7 opens up what I'd like to call the good Mario Party games, even if it's not gonna look like that. This game has so many problems. Mario Party 7 could have been amazing, it was this close to being one of my favorite games in the series. It has easily my favorite overarching theme in the series, being a vacation around the globe. I love traveling in real life, in fact it's probably my favorite hobby in the world, so seeing it represented in Mario Party is a dream come true. And better yet, all of the boards are pretty great. They're all based on a specific country, except for the final one, and gameplay-wise, they all stand out from one another, while still being fun. And the minigames are also some of my favorites in the series, considering there's a mode for playing with up to 8 people, first in this series. All of this makes Mario Party 7 really fun, so why is it only number 10? Well... The thing about Mario Party 7 is that it tries to be like Mario Party 6 with its more gimmicky gameplay, but in order to not be too similar, it adds some other quirks as well, and they all really suck. Bowser time is just the worst. Every 5th turn, he just decides to show up and ruin it for everybody. It gets old pretty quickly, since nothing good ever comes out of it, and the fact that there's no way to turn it off is so annoying. And the music. What the f***? Look, Mario Party typically isn't known for its extraordinary soundtrack, but Mario Party 7 hits a new low. It's like every song is trying its absolutely hardest to be as loud and obnoxious as possible. I can't take it seriously, and it mostly goes for all of the board themes. When you have to hear them every time a new turn starts, it just gets so repetitive so fast, and I just end up humming to the beat because of how bad it is. And this is the only Mario Party where I have a problem with the soundtrack. Also, duels are also kind of awful, because not only is the reward randomized, but there's also the risk of just not getting anything at all. Screw you, Toadsworth. All of these issues were really close to ruining my experience with Mario Party 7. Thankfully, this game still got a ton of incredible qualities as well. Otherwise, this game could have been really low. Also, Bowser's lovely lift. I've still not beaten it. In 9th place, we have the first ever Mario Party sequel, and it's a Charming. I can't deny just how much personality that this game has that was sadly dropped in future games. Unlike in other Mario parties, the second game actually has each playable character wearing a costume that fits each board. So on Western Land, everyone's dressed up as cowboys, and for Horror Land, everyone's a wizard, and for Bowser Land, everyone's Bowser. Actually, that last part wasn't true, but you get my point. And to make things better, each board even has its own smaller story within it. And for the ending ceremony, there's even a small cutscene where the winner goes face to face with Bowser. They didn't need to do any of this, but they did, and I really appreciate it. The boards are also pretty cool. There's only 6 this time, as opposed to the 8 of the first game, but they're way more consistent in quality and have more well thought out concepts. There's even items at long last. Yay! Except you can only carry one at a time. Why? I mean, it's better than nothing, but not being able to carry, say, a skeleton key and a triple mushroom at the same time feels so limiting. So most of the time, it's as if I don't have any items at all anyways. It's especially bad on some of the more complex boards like Mystery or Horrorland, where you mostly just end up praying to the luck gods. On another more positive note though, I really like how there's a mini Bowser on the board alongside a star, who will steal their coins if you pass him instead. And the fact that he can also walk around and cause havoc if someone accidentally gets the dreaded Bowser Bomb item is a super cool way to spice up the gameplay. And while a good chunk of minigames are shamelessly ripped from Mario Party 1, at least it's mostly just the good ones. The new games are memorable classics in their own right. As petty as it is for me to say, but if only the item system wasn't so half-baked, I would have genuinely loved this game. Everything is pretty well handled, but as it stands now, no way is it one of the best Mario Party games of all time. Unironically, one of my favorite things to come out of Mario Party DS was the anti-piracy screen trend started by Joey Perleone. Sure, I know it wasn't real, nor even official, but it was an amazing meme nevertheless. Okay, but let's talk about the game itself now. Mario Party DS, despite being the very last Mario Party made by Hudson Soft, is actually surprisingly unique. Yeah, no unoriginality at all, despite the fact that these games were coming out on a yearly basis. Most Mario Party games have an overarching theme of some sort, but none of them took it as far as this one did. Basically, the story is that Bowser shrunk down everyone to become tiny, which already is more unique than with most games. But to make things better, all of the boards and minigames take advantage of it as well, resulting in some of the most creative ideas in the series. Like, for one of the minigames, you have to quickly slide down the rail of a staircase as fast as possible to fly as far as you can. And for another one, you have to escape a giant vacuum cleaner sucking up everything in its path. And that's just a few examples. And I love how the story mode actually gives you a reason for playing the boards that you do, as each map has its own little backstory as to why we're there. Mario Party DS even introduced boss battles, exclusive to the story mode, and while they're sadly pretty inconsistent in quality, just the fact that we have them is cool enough. Also, did I mention that all of this was on a handheld system? Not even the 3DS games were this ambitious. Sadly, the fact that it is on a handheld is also what holds this game back. The DS system just put a lot of limitations on what could have otherwise been a game as complex as the console games. The boards, while still good, are definitely on the smaller side, without too many interesting gimmicks. Never mind that there's only 5, and I feel that the item system just isn't as refined as it could have been. Having both traditional items and orbs is a great idea, but it only barely scratches the surface of it. And the fact that you can buy as many items as possible while in the shop will always be stupid, especially since the items themselves are so cheap. Overall, Mario Party DS is still good, but it definitely needed more powerful hardware to be played on. Oh well. Maybe if we get a remake of it in the future, because if any Mario Party game deserves that, it's this one. In 7th place, we have Mario Party 8. Hands down, the most unrefined game in the series. This is another childhood Mario Party for me, so on the one hand, it's a game that I'm incredibly nostalgic for, but just like with Island Tour, it has not aged well. Besides DS, this was the last of the many classic Mario Party games released, before Hudson Soft lost interest in the series, and it kind of shows. Since this was an early Wii game, that meant motion controls. Lots and lots of motion controls. Look, I'm not even a motion control hater, but this game did not handle it well at all. Just about everything in this game forces you to move around your Wiimote, from navigating the menu, hitting the dice, even 95% of the minigames. And it's not even like it had to be this way, just look at how much more smoothly Mario Party 9 handled it. Never mind that the motion controls in this game aren't even that good. Sometimes the game doesn't even respond to my input. The graphics are also pretty shit. Like, I'm sorry, but everything just looks so grainy and hyper-realistic, and there's not even widescreen support. They let Kamek say a slur! Was this game even playtested enough? No, it wasn't. But at the same time, Mario Party 8 is also one of the most oddly unique games in the series for me. Haribo is easily the funniest and most charming host in the series. And while the candies are a basic item system, I love the cute little transformations that accompany them. The boards are, well, 50-50 between absolutely goated and god-awful. And even though the minigames are mostly generic in how you control them, there's a certain charm to how random they are conceptually. One moment you're in a haunted mansion looking for your friends, another time you're waving to get the attention of a ship, and this. Okay, but yeah, the minigames are definitely one of a kind. And honestly, to this day, this is still my favorite character selection in the series. I mean, how many other times are you able to play as a freaking blooper? So yeah, Mario Party 8. Overall, I kind of like it. It's definitely problematic and has a lot of deep-seated issues, but it's also just oozing with so much personality. Now we're getting to the Mario Party games that I think are actually quite great though, opening up with the last handheld game on the list. Mario Party Star Rush. This is another 3DS game like Mario Party Island Tour, in which it basically throws a bunch of ideas on a wall, but unlike that game, most of it actually lands this time. Really well, in fact. First, there's Toad Scramble, the main mode. Remember when I talked about Partner Party earlier in the video? Well, this is that, except every man for themselves, and with boss battles, which makes it a bit more fun to me. There's also a wide variety of different side modes this time, and while all of them are pretty random, and often don't even have you playing minigames, they're still really fun to just pick up and play, especially Mario Shuffle, Boost Block Battle, and Challenge Tower. I never knew I wanted to play Minesweeper in a Mario Party game, but it's here, and I love it. A good old coin-a-thon. I don't know who came up with the idea of collecting coins in minigames in order to advance spaces on a race to the finish style map, but it's such a unique idea and so satisfying to play. And it even got brought back in a newer game. Yeah, this game's experiments paid off.
Dude, there's no way this is better than Mario Party DS. Even if you like Star Rush, I think it's obvious which of these two feel more like a complete game.
To be honest, I feel that that's part of the problem with the former game though. Mario Party DS, as cool of an atmosphere as it had, still had a gameplay that felt like a lesser than most of its parts, and there's not much reason to play it over many of the console games. Meanwhile, Mario Party Star Rush, while a bit more inconsistent, is a completely unique experience, but still just as fun where it's at in my opinion, if not even more, which gives it much more replay value. Again, it's still a pretty small title, and it's not without its problems. The minigames, for example, are kinda forgettable, never mind that there's barely any of them at all, hence why it's not in the top 5, but man, people have really slept on this title. Different isn't always bad, guys. Opening up the top 5, we have Mario Party Superstars. Now this was definitely a much better return to form than Super Mario Party was. I still remember seeing this game announced at the E3 Direct of 2021 and being absolutely stoked about its premise. In a nutshell, this game is basically what Mario Party the Top 100 should have been, as it takes largely the same concept of bringing back minigames from previous games, except this time there's also retro boards. No matter how fun minigames are, the boards are and will always be the meat and bone of the series. And this one is 5 of them, all hailing from the N64 era, and they are stellar. They're perfect adaptations of the original maps, retaining most of the features that made them special like Koopa Banks and Boo, while still adding a modern spin to them to make them more playable. I wish there were more than 5 boards, but hey, I'll take what I can get. And while the minigame distribution is even more inconsistent than the top 100s, at least the minigames themselves are better and more engaging. But, this game could have been the best in the series, but in order to be that, you need to have more than just a good party mode. You also need to have good side modes. Let's see what Mario Party Superstars has to offer in that department. Alright, there's practically no content at all. I mean sure, it has minigame survival, and daily challenges, and world record leaderboards. The problem is that all of it is locked behind an online subscription. If you don't have that, then pretty much the only thing worth of any value is the main board play, and that's just kind of disappointing. But even with online, none of what I mentioned is enough to keep me interested for more than 10 minutes. If it wasn't for the fact that online party mode is super fun, I would have far less than 400 hours of playtime. There's just not much to it if you're playing alone, since this game has no unlockables, no story mode, nothing at all to decide. So what a way to waste what is probably one of the potentially best concepts in the series. And yet this is still somehow one of the best Mario Party games. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. You know what, let's just move on. I'll just leave it at this. The party mode is amazing. In 4th place, we have Mario Party 6. Now we're getting to the really amazing stuff, starting with the best GameCube Mario Party. After the rather uninspired 4th and 5th games, Mario Party 6 finally got the series back on track again, giving us some of the most unique classic boards in the series. And it's all thanks to this lovely feature called Day and Night. While Horrorland and Mario Party 2 may have been the map to have started this gimmick, Mario Party 6 was the game that perfected it, implementing it for all of its 6 boards. Sometimes the changes are minimal, you just take another path when it's night, but other boards like Fair Square and Clockwork Castle take full advantage of it, completely revolving around it. And it makes for some incredibly creative maps. It's just amazing. The item system is also pretty fine, as it takes the mediocre capsule system from the 5th game and actually makes it playable, since there are now actual shops where you can choose which ones to buy, and you don't have to waste money if you want to use them on yourself now either. Plus, you can't fall victim to your own traps anymore. I'd still prefer a normal item system, like in Mario Party 3 and the Switch games, but this is still fine. There's still a few problems though that puts this game outside the top 3 on my ranking. For one, everything that's not the main mode is kind of boring. The fact that there's no story mode is a bit jarring, seeing as it was a staple in the series at this point. There's still a kind of solo mode, but it's just playing 3 linear boards with the sole purpose of unlocking minigames. It's a quick way to farm stars, but otherwise it's a bit underwhelming. Microphone mode is actually really fun, if ridiculously unresponsive. It takes like 5 seconds for the game to register your inputs, and while it's wacky, it definitely needed more time to properly work. Even if the talk show mode is a lot of fun with friends. Overall though, Mario Party 6 is an amazing gem, and while the side content isn't the best thing ever, it's better than what Superstars has, that's for sure. Opening up the top 3, we have Mario Party 3, the very last entry I played besides Jamboree. I have zero nostalgia for it, and yet I had so much fun. Mario Party 2 may be the fan favorite of the N64 trilogy, but 3 was definitely the more revolutionary title, and I'm surprised it's aged as well as it has. Mario Party 3 was the first Mario Party game to give us multiple save files, more characters, and even story mode, which already made for much higher replay value, and the board gameplay is to this day probably the best it's ever been, excluding Jamboree. There's only 6 boards, the same as Mario Party 2, but my goodness are they so much more developed. The themes are kind of basic, sure, it's just your typical snowy, underwater and desert maps, etc. But there's so many split paths and unique gimmicks that spice them up, all while bringing back the past aspects from previous games that worked. The biggest improvement has got to be the item system. Peak perfection. Again, besides Jamboree, it's easily the biggest item system in the series, with not only a massive variety, but also some really crazy ones that completely change the game. Like the reverse mushroom that allows you to go backwards, or how about the wacky watch that set the game time to only have 5 turns left. We're never gonna see them again, which is sad because they were so crazy and I loved it. At least we can still carry 3 items at a time though, which is another thing that was introduced in this game, and it makes matches so much more strategic. Oh yeah, and Mario Party 3 also has something called Duel Mode, and while it sadly replaces Minigame Island from the previous 2 games, it's fine because it's one of the coolest side modes in the series. It also takes place on boards, smaller ones, where you basically have to deplete the other player's health points first, with the help of partners you get. But you also have to pay their salary every turn, otherwise they abandon you and you have to find new ones. It's a weird idea, but it works shockingly well. The only thing I don't like is how it's forced into the story mode, as it's more luck based than party mode and causes the whole solo adventure to kind of drag. But otherwise, Mario Party 3 is near perfect, and one of the gold standards that this series has to offer. In second place, we have the first Mario game that I ever played, Mario Party 9. No, I promise it's not just nostalgia, but truth be told, this is one of the most underrated Mario games of all time, and the fact that it's as hated as it is makes me kind of sad. I know Mario Party 9 changed up the core gameplay of the series, but unlike Mario Party 10, this one actually made it work in its own way. Sure, you don't move on your own for the boards, instead everyone is forced together on a car, on boards that have a clear start and clear finish. That sounds boring at first, but there's plenty of fun elements to it. I like how the more linear gameplay makes each map feel more like an adventure, especially with the solo mode. I like how you can use dice blocks and pick split paths to directly screw up the next player in line. And above all, I love boss minigames. There's such a cool way to raise the stakes of the board play, and further makes Mario Party 9 feel more like an adventure. In many ways, Mario Party 9 is kind of what a regular 2D Mario platformer would be like if it was turned into a board play, and I think that's super cool. Yeah, maybe it's not the same as the classic games, but as its own thing, it's a super neat concept. Mario Party 10 failed it because the boards themselves were kinda barren, and the story mode just didn't exist at all. In comparison, Mario Party 9's maps are all pretty lively and engaging in terms of events. And to make things better, the atmosphere in Mario Party 9 is absolutely beautiful. Compared to the other games, Mario Party 9 feels much more sentimental, with more relaxing but also epic music. Even the story is a bit more dramatic than usually, with a more emotional ending. And not only is the minigame selection arguably the best the series has to offer, with no outright awful games, but the minigame modes themselves are also some of the most engaging they've ever been, with high rollers and choice challenge especially standing out as unique. Honestly, Mario Party 9 is the first game on the list that doesn't really have any game-breaking problems for me. If you can get past the change in party mode, what you've got is one of the most cinematic and beautiful games in the series. It's just that, well, there is another game that just so happens to be even better. And that is Super Mario Party Jamboree. Yeah, I know it's not even been a full day since this game released in some areas, but honestly, it really is that amazing. Even with how special Mario Party 9 is to me, I have to admit that Super Mario Party Jamboree simply hits the most consistent and highest highs this series has seen. It's not perfect, but wow. There is so much content, and frankly, almost all of it is amazing. Already, the board play is easily the best we've ever seen. There's 7 boards, 5 new ones and 2 returning ones, and frankly, all of them are great. Not just good, but great. All of them have wonderful gimmicks to make the gameplay interesting, not to mention it has the largest item selection in the series. And the cherry on top are the Jamboree buddies. They're like allies in some of the previous games, except far more balanced. Because this time, the only way you can get them is if somebody passes them on the board and you then have to win their respective ally minigame. After that, they'll stick with you for 3 turns, and double any effect that you come across. So if you land on a blue space, you'll get twice as many coins, or if you pass a star, you can buy 2 of them. But negative effects will also be doubled, so while it's overall still beneficial to have them, it's nowhere near as overpowered as it once was. But that's just a fraction of this game. The side content is also amazing. Okay, mostly. Koopathlon is basically Coinathlon from Star Rush, but with 20 players and online. So take everything I said about that mode and multiply it by 10. It's actually near perfect. And Bowser's Kaboom Squad? This is also amazing. It's like that river mode in Super Mario Party, where everyone has to work together and play team minigames, except this time you're trying to take down a giant Bowser. It kinda speaks for itself. And even that has online capabilities. Yes, I know Bowser isn't playable in it, but whatever. The other modes are fine too. Rhythm Kitchen and Toad's Factory aren't really too exciting, but they're nice breaks from the main game that utilize the Joy-Cons in fun ways. That said, screw Paratroopers Flight School. It's not bad conceptually, but my arms were so sore after just 20 minutes. There's even a story mode in this game, which is basically that Shroom City mode from Mario Party Advance, except actually kinda fun. You can't game over, it's much shorter, and there's boss battles! Yeah, this game just keeps getting better and better. It's not a perfect installment, the game speed is admittedly pretty slow. The fact that matches go on for well over an hour for just a 10-turn match is kinda embarrassing, especially after how they nailed the flow for Superstars, but the fact that the boards are also as dynamic as they are makes it kinda excusable. All in all though, this game is a true gem. I will continue to play this game for years to come and make more videos on it, and I hope all of you will or are enjoying the game as much as I am. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my full ranking of all of the games in the Mario Party series.
Albert Boring. Lying as usual, I see.
What do you mean lying? These are just my opinions. There's no objective merit to this ranking.
Well, you see, Albert, you forgot to talk about what's really the best game. Mario Party E!
Dude, even if I bought the Game Boy Advance and an e-reader for it, they didn't even release this game in Europe. How am I ever gonna play it?
Oh, you'll find a way. As long as you do it before the next time you make this list.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Too bad. But yeah, that's about it for this video. But what is your ranking of the Mario Party series? Did you agree with me or not? Make sure to let me know what your favorite game is down below. And in the meantime, like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, as I'll be making more videos on Mario Party Jamboree soon. Join my Discord server, Green Pipe City, and follow me on Twitter and Patreon, and I'll see you all soon. Until next time.